The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The Mireka Tower at Havelock City was ceremoniously opened by the President. The government has decided to wind up operations of the COVID-19 Health and Social Security Fund. The Tourism Ministry says Sri Lanka has been among the top 13 tourist destinations and safest countries in the world to visit. The Foreign Minister welcomes continued U.S. assistance to Sri Lanka, an increase in dengue fever cases across the country. And on international news, British Prime Minister Liz Truss resigns after 45 days in office. And on sports news, Sri Lanka and the Netherlands both progressed to the Super 12 stage of the Men's T20 World Cup. The Mireka Tower at Havelock City was ceremoniously opened by President Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning. The Mireka Tower is comprising 50 stories with 600,000 square foot and it's a Grade A premium office space in Colombo. At the opening, President Wickremesinghe said that he is intended to provide an investment-friendly environment in Sri Lanka shortly. He said existing decade-old rules and regulations should be amended to suit the current cooperative atmosphere. He added Sri Lanka should focus on bringing international investment rather than obtaining overseas lends. Speaking further, he said in order to make an export-oriented economy, the government should provide avenues for international investors to initiate business in Sri Lanka. The president said that the economy cannot be promoted only through local reserves. He also said the ongoing talks about restructuring loan facilities with China, India and Japan will be successful. The government has decided to wind up operations of the COVID-19 Health and Social Security Fund. President's Media Division said approval of the Cabinet of Ministers has been obtained to wind up the operations of the fund. The Secretary of the COVID-19 Health and Social Security Fund, Dr. Tharaka Lianapathirana, informs the public that the COVID-19 Health and Social Security Fund at the Bank of Ceylon has been closed down effective from Tuesday and requested the public not to donate to this fund. He requested donors not to send checks or money towards this fund to the Presidential Secretariat. The Secretary of the COVID-19 Health and Social Security Fund extended his appreciation to the donors who contributed to the fund to make the program implemented throughout the country during the COVID-19 epidemic a success. The Tourism Ministry says Sri Lanka has been among the top 13 tourist destinations and safest countries in the world to visit. Quoting the Workpackers website, the ministry said, with a large majority of countries' culture being Buddhists, the website has said Sri Lanka is a pretty safe place to travel as their mannerisms tend to be calm and welcoming. The web has also ranked Sri Lanka in 12th place among the safest countries to travel to. Accordingly, countries such as Iceland, Switzerland, Denmark, New Zealand, Canada, Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Japan, Finland, Austria, Sri Lanka and rural UK were listed as the safest countries to travel to. The website also said Sigiriya is a must-visit when travelling to Sri Lanka, an enigmatic summit with the remains of an ancient palace at the top. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The National Dengue Control Unit of the Ministry of Health states that there has been an increase in the number of dengue fever patients across the country. The Dengue Control Unit says that 1,178 dengue fever cases were found in different parts of the country last week. The units reported that 47% of patients were reported from the Western Province. According to the reports of dengue patients, 15.5% were from the Colombo district, 22% from the Gampar district, and 4.7% from the Kalutara district, etc. The National Dengue Control Unit also mentions that Kaathuduwa, Mirigama, Beruwala, Gampala, Akmimana, Jaffna City, Addale, Chena, Mavanella Health Medical Officer divisions have been identified as high-risk areas. The National Dengue Control Unit requested the public to take measures to eliminate mosquito breeding places. The Dean of the Art Faculty of the Peradhan University, Dr. Prabhat Ekanayaka, says the university has taken measures to eliminate ragging. He said all the academic staff has given their approval in this regard. At a media briefing held in Colombo, Dr. Ekanayaka said some senior students are ragging the first-year students on mere political aspirations. He said some senior students have become political henchmen of some political parties. They are getting various types of benefits out of it, the dean added. That ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The former Speaker of Parliament, Karu Jayasuriya, says planned Jana Sabha program will empower the public. He said the main intention of the program is to provide a better country for the future generation while protecting the privileges provided by the democracy. He added if the program could be implemented successfully, Sri Lanka would be able to create a better political culture. The former Speaker said the program can be implemented from next January. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on Watchlight tonight, the Education Minister, Susili Premajanta, says that it has been decided not to disconnect the water supply connections of the schools that have not paid their water bills. The decision was announced following a discussion with the National Water Supply and Drainage Board chairman today. The minister told the Water Board chairman that necessary arrangements will be made to pay the bills in the future. Following the assurance of the minister, the Water Board has decided not to disconnect the water supply to schools. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
World News and the headlines first. The British Prime Minister Liz Truss resigns after 45 days in office. France repatriated 40 children and 15 women or family members of suspected ISIS fighters from camps in Syria. Chad's president has declared a state of emergency over flooding. The British Prime Minister Liz Truss has resigned, bowing to the inevitable after a 6-week term in which her policies triggered turmoil in financial markets and a rebellion in her party obliterated her authority. Analysts say her departure leaves a divided party seeking a leader who can unify its warring factions. Truss announced today she was quitting after just 45 days in number 10, becoming Britain's shortest-serving Prime Minister. Speaking in Downing Street at around 1:30 p.m, she told the nation she was resigning after an open revolt by Tory MPs against her chaotic and crisis-hit premiership. She announced she was going after holding talks with Sir Graham Brady, chair of the influential 1922 Committee of Conservative MPs and her closest allies, Deputy Prime Minister Therese Coffey and Tory chairman Jake Berry. France has repatriated 40 children and 15 women from Kurdish-run camps in Syria holding family members of suspected ISIS armed group fighters. The French Foreign Ministry said the 15 children were handed over to the child care services while the women are transferred to the judicial authorities. Since the fall of ISIL in 2019, some Western countries have repatriated their citizens, but the French government had long refused mass repatriations of the hundreds of French children detained in Kurdish-controlled camps, dealing with them on a case-by-case basis that rights groups criticized and deliberately slow. Chad's President Mahamas Idris Deby has declared a state of emergency over flooding that is affecting more than 1 million people in the country. Met officials said the rains have come early this year and were the heaviest in decades. The flood waters have swallowed up more than 465,000 hectares of fields and 19,000 heads of livestock. N'Djamena, the capital, has not been spared either. Hundreds of people there have fled their homes due to flooding in the last few days. The government has put in place a response plan to provide shelter, food and sanitation, Chad's president said. Meanwhile, the United Nations says 5.5 million Chadians need emergency humanitarian aid, while the World Bank says 42% of the 16 million population lives in poverty. Back to the world news headlines. The British Prime Minister Liz Truss resigns after 45 days in office. France repatriated 40 children and 15 women or family members of suspected ISIS fighters from camps in Syria. Chad's president has declared a state of emergency over flooding. That ends world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Listening, the trusted leader.
And on development news, the maiden harvest of a green apple plantation in Sri Lanka was presented to President Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning at the Presidential Secretariat. The President's Media Division, PMD, said farmer MP Lakshman Kumara has cultivated green apples on 2 acres of land in Tambuttegama, Galgamuwa. The President had inquired about his apple farm and said that he intends to visit the farm in the near future. Mr. Lakshman Kumara told the President that the apple seeds were imported to Sri Lanka and following proper testing. He had initiated the apple cultivation. He also told the President that it is possible to produce and provide the seeds needed to popularize this cultivation. He added these seeds can be cultivated in any part of Sri Lanka as if the seeds are well adapted to Sri Lankan soil. That came to you in development news.
Sports News is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
And on sports news, Sri Lanka and the Netherlands both progressed to the Super 12 stage of the Men's T20 World Cup. They finished first and second in the group respectively to qualify for the next stage of the games starting on 22nd of October. Having lost to Sri Lanka earlier in the day, the Netherlands qualified after a shock 7-run win for the United Arab Emirates UAE over Namibia. It was the UAE's first ever win in the T20 World Cup in only their second tournament. Some consistent bowling from Namibia allowed UAE to score a competitive 148 for 3 with opener Mohammad Wasim top scoring with 50 from 41 balls. The Netherlands players who stayed in the ground watched in anticipation as Namibia then slipped to 69 for 7 before David Weiss's heroic 55 from 36 balls dragged them back. But needing 14 from the final over, Weiss held out to long on to hand UAE an unexpected win and the Netherlands an unexpected qualification. In the earlier game, Kusal Mendes 79 from 44 balls propelled Sri Lanka to 162 for 6. The right-hander smashing 5 sixers in his match-winning innings. Sri Lanka qualify in first position, meaning they joined England, Afghanistan, Australia and New Zealand in Super 12 Group A, while Netherlands will face India, Pakistan, South Africa and Bangladesh in Super 12 Group B. That ends sports news.
A special interest rate of 15% on savings certificates opened in October. Prarthana for children, Prarthana Plus for adults. NSB Prarthana, your dreams realized.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Alliance Air will operate direct flights from Chennai to Palali Airport, Jaffna from end of the year. Alliance Air said that the airline will also look at flying to Ratmalan also towards the end of the year. They added the route was popular in pre-C19 times among tourists, Lankan Tamil traders and pilgrims. The airline, which is managed by the Government of India, had started flights to Jaffna in November 2019 but had to discontinue after the pandemic struck. Jaffna was the airline's maiden international destination. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by...
When I grow up, I'll fly to the moon somehow.
Envision your future now. NSB Prarthana will show you the path to your dreams. This thrift month, open a savings certificate. It's a long-term investment on your future with great returns. A special interest rate of 15% on savings certificates opened in October. Prarthana for children, Prarthana Plus for adults. NSB Prarthana, your dreams realized.
Economic News. courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And now on economic news, exports from Sri Lanka to Germany have increased by 20.6% to 680 million euros from January to August 2022. German imports to Sri Lanka amounted to 149.85 million euros. It was a decrease of 16.1% compared to the same period of the previous year. This was largely due to the import restrictions imposed by the Sri Lankan government.